And I'll tell you, you just heard Jeremy's little message about Maseh and the journeys, but the fact is that the video that he just played right before that was such a special video because, you know, Jeremy and I came out to the Arugot farm together, and for me, it was such a grandiose, overwhelming undertaking. And, you know, we planted the vineyards and the trees and we started building. And to me, it was just so all-encompassing. It was so larger than life. And only Jeremy is then looking beyond. He's looking on the other mountains in Judea. He's looking on the other side of the Valley of Arugot. And he sometimes drags me along with him. And that's sort of what's been happening here with this, because, you know, I said, what we're doing, we're building up the Arugot farms and we're making the Arugot a destination for spiritualities. And no, it's not about the Arugot farms. It's about Judea. It's about making Judea into a global destination, bringing the life and the spirit back to Judea, making these, I mean, they were just rocks and tumbleweeds, and he's brought this beautiful life to it. And there couldn't be a better time, a more perfect time than right now for that video that he just sent about what we're doing on the other side of the Arugot Valley, because we've entered this period of time called the 3 weeks. And bad things tend to happen during the 3 weeks, as we just saw about Rudy Rachman. And when I say bad things, I mean it in the simplest sense of the word. We know that in the world of truth, everything is for the good and everything is good. But in our world, the good can often be masked and concealed with pain and tragedy. And those tragic, painful things often fall out during the 3 weeks. And even more so during the last 9 days of the 3 weeks, which we call the 9 days. The 9 days, that's what we call them. And those 9 days just started yesterday. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh Av, the new month of Av, and it just started. So just a brief review to highlight how seriously this is taken, how far this is from, it's not Jewish superstition. During the 3 weeks, we don't conduct weddings, we don't listen to music, we don't enjoy new things, we don't have haircuts or shave. And then during the 9 days, it's even more stringent. During the 9 days, we don't eat meat or drink wine. Of course, the temple was destroyed, and that's when the wine libations and the sacrifices ended. And I think you're seeing Dvash right now on a picture with Jeremy, which just raises my soul so much. Jeremy, I'm talking about the 9 days. It could not be a greater contrast with the deliciousness in that video right now. You're going to have to shut off your screen. It's too big a distraction. It's too big a distraction. Anyways, I love you, Dvash. I can't wait to squeeze you and eat you and hug you. I feel like I'm not allowed to. I should probably stay away from her during the 9 days. She's just too decadent, too delicious. I can't wait for all of you to come in person to the Arugot farm and literally squeeze her thighs. They are so plentiful. I mean, it would have to be relatively soon, like 10, 15 years from now. That'd be weird. But she's just so delicious. Anyways, we're talking about the 9 days. So we don't eat meat or drink wine, of course, because the temple was destroyed, and that's when the sacrifices and the wine libations stopped. We don't swim, definitely not for fun. We don't do laundry, if possible, other than for babies. And of course, all of this is to sensitize us to the grief of the tragedies that have befallen us in the past during these painful and difficult times. Just over Shabbat here in Israel, a 3-year-old girl climbed into her parents' parked car when they weren't looking. They looked for her, they searched for her, they found, police were looking for her, and they only found her in the back seat too late, and she died. And it was devastating, and it's unimaginable. Their 3-year-old girl died. This is what the Jewish people brace ourselves for during the 9 days. That's what it's about. And why was Jeremy's message so perfect? Because the deepest root, and I'm talking about the first video message where he showed all that we're doing on these hills of Judea, because the deepest root foundation sin of the 9th of Av and these 9 days is despising the land of Israel. It's called Mi'us Haaretz, the land that if our forefathers just had the courage and the face to see it clearly, they would have loved it with all of their hearts, but they didn't love it. They didn't have the eyes to see it. They brought an evil report about the land and they despised it. says in Numbers chapter 14, and your children of who you said they would become prey, I will bring them in, meaning I'll bring them into the land, and they will know the land that you despised. Hashem knows the heart, and he saw that rather than yearning for the land, that generation feared it and despised it. And that's why it was only Caleb and Joshua, right, that were able to actually enter the land to inherit it, because they came with a positive report of faith and love. Anyways, Numbers chapter 14. And the people wept that night, and they complained against Moshe and Aaron. As a nation, we wept that night as a nation. That night, we should have been celebrating and offering thanksgiving sacrifices, and we wept. And on that night, in these days, Hashem tells us, this is from the Talmud, you wept in vain. You wept in vain. I will establish for you weeping for all generations. And now, as Jeremy showed you, we are continuing to settle the land of Israel. We continue to bring life to the hills of Judea. And we are unwavering. And it's not just us. We are the least of our brethren. You would not believe the people that we encounter, the self-sacrifice, the fearlessness, the love that we encounter of these Judean Jews. The amount of national and international pressure against us is overwhelming. Just all the time on my calendars, the Supreme Court ruling, returning to see about this or that thing or this thing or that thing. We're trying to do so much, and we also have to pay these legal bills against all these international organizations whose entire purpose is to destroy us. And we have suffered losses and setbacks and destructions, but we keep moving forward. And please God, the day will soon come when the exiles are ingathered. The hills of Judea return to life. The temple is built. Tears are dried up and converted to joy, and there's nothing but happiness. Where the knowledge of God will cover the earth as water covers the sea. And what does that mean? It's not just knowledge in your head, internalized knowledge from your head to your heart, where it is just a part of who you are, and you look around and you see that everything has been perfect. But we're not there yet, and until then, we're still mourning. My friend Yishai Fleischer, he compares our mourning to the situation of two women being in a room, and they have the same status. They're still single. One, her husband just died, and she's bereaved. And the other one, well, she's single as well, but she's just about to be married. So they have two completely different feelings. There's an entirely different perspective on it. And for the majority of the history of the exile, we have been that first woman that has been mourning and bereaved. We were that widow. But now we're being ingathered. The prophecies are being fulfilled. And I think we all feel the sense of hope and optimism that we're literally on the cusp of redemption. This highlight was taken from the Land of Israel Fellowship. Every week, hundreds of families from literally around the world come together on our live Zoom sessions to strengthen each other, to inspire each other, and to learn Torah from the Land of Israel, in which we connect the dots between the Bible, the Hebrew language, and the confusing events of our times. Go to www.thelandofisrael.com/fellowship or click on the link below to join. Thank you.